Hey guys, today we are reviewing the first laptop we've ever done on this channel, the MSI Prestige 15, a 15-inch laptop that's geared more towards the thin and light segment as well as productivity. If you want to see more laptop reviews, just let us know in the comments on what type of laptops you'd like to see covered, and we'll make sure to cover those in our future reviews. Let's get to it. The MSI Prestige is a nice departure from the usual gaming notebooks such as the MSI Titan, Stealth and Raider series, and this is made with content creators in mind. Instead of traditional MacBook clones that come in grey aluminum, the Prestige comes in a dark grey-blue finish with a beautiful burnt blue beveled accents encircling the top and bottom of the laptop. I really love the muted matte MSI Dragon logo, which doesn't break the seamless look and making it look extremely sleek and stylish. The sandblasted exterior does attract some fingerprints, though nothing a quick wipe with a microfiber cloth can't fix. The bottom of the laptop features tiny, unobtrusive perforations for hot air to be expelled from the chassis and 10 standard Phillips screws for easy access to internals for upgrades. There are two 2-watt downward-facing speakers on the left and right of the laptop, which we'll take a closer listen to later on. Now, on the back of the laptop, we can see more exhaust fans and a tiny glimpse of the heatsinks within. I'm extremely happy to see no side exhaust fans, which are truly terrible design choices, considering the hot air being expelled onto your hands. The laptop also measures 356.8 by 233.7 by 15.9 mm and weighs in at 1.6 kilograms. And while this isn't the thinnest or lightest Ultrabook around, it's definitely very well suited for portability and working on the go. Comparatively, the Dell XPS 15 comes in heavier at 1.8 kilograms, but it does have a larger battery. Now, the Prestige 15 supports USB-C charging via a 90-watt adapter powered by a 4-cell lithium polymer 82-watt-hour battery. It should give you all-day battery life if you're doing some office productivity and light web browsing on the go. But if you're going to do any hardcore video or photo editing, or even some light gaming, expect a massive drop in battery life. So make sure to keep the adapter handy with you at all times. The Prestige has me impressed so far with its beautiful exterior and a promise of working conveniently on the go. But can the specs live up to my expectations? Let's dive right in. Of course, the Prestige comes configured with the latest Comet Lake 10th generation Intel Core i7-10710U processor, which has 6 cores and 12 threads running at 1.1 GHz with a max single core of 4.7 GHz, 32 gigs of memory, 1TB of fast NVMe storage, a 4K 60Hz IPS UHD panel, a 1650 Max-Q graphics card and Windows 10 Pro pre-installed. A nice addition is that it also comes with Intel AX200 Wi-Fi 6 standard with Bluetooth 5.1. But as always, AX200 speeds can only be attained if you have the latest generation AX router in your home. So with all the specs out of the way, let's take a look at the interior of the laptop. Now, the notch allows the laptop to be opened easily with your thumb and finger, and the hinge has sufficient resistance and heft to add to the premiumness of the laptop. It has a standard backlit keyboard without a numpad and sports an unusually long trackpad that's about 35% larger than the standard trackpads. The trackpad has the same sleek burnt blue beveled accents as we've seen on the exterior, and it's extremely smooth and made out of glass. It also has a fingerprint reader built into the trackpad, which is nice, but is strangely located on the left instead of the right, when I'm guessing most people would be right-handed. But hey, not a big deal at all, and it's great to see trackpads getting larger for easier use with Windows gestures. The screen is sturdy with very little flex, and while screen wobble from the hinge construction is good, it is not perfect. This means that any bumps or knocks on your surface may cause some screen wobble while working, which is pretty distracting when you're focused on design work. The frame of the laptop is made really well with barely any flex on the keyboard and what laptop manufacturers typically call the C cover. The key travel is how far the keys can travel before they can't go anymore. Prestige has simple, standard chiclet-style keys that have an advertised 1.5 mm of key travel. They are pleasant enough to type on and are responsive, but the one thing I didn't like too much was that the keys have a slight jiggle to them. This detracts slightly from a perfect typing experience, but overall easy and familiar to use. Now, the backlit LEDs are only a single white color, much to the upset of RGB enthusiasts. While I personally don't like RGB in everything in my coffee, having a choice of configurable RGB backlit keys would have been a nice touch to suit any office or home office color themes. Now moving on to I/O and ports, we see two Type-C USB 3.2 Gen 2, DP and Thunderbolt 3 with power delivery charging, HDMI out and audio jack on the left. We also see the power and battery indicator that's useful to see the status when the laptop is closed. On the right side, the laptop has a micro SD card reader and two Type-A USB 3.2 Gen 2 ports. Most photographers and videographers use SD cards, so having a micro SD card slot is pretty much useless for anything except for maybe a mobile phone footage or drone footage. I would have liked to see a standard SD card slot on any laptop that has the content creator badge, because honestly, SD cards are what we use. Another point that's sorely missing is the Ethernet port, which provides a stable internet connection for gaming or critical access to online services. But this can be easily solved with a Thunderbolt dock, which provides a single cable connection, expanding your I/O options. However, the downside of that is that these docks are usually expensive, easily adding $200 to $300 to your setup. The screen is a beautiful 4K UHD panel that has 100% Adobe RGB and what MSI is calling true color technology. While we don't have any tools to test color accuracy and deltas as yet, so we can't tell you if marketing speak is correct. We'll be adding those tests in future notebook reviews, so stay tuned. What I do see is a vibrant screen that will be a joy to use for any Photoshop or color correction work. I also noticed that the screen isn't blindingly bright indoors, which only means that you'll have to be careful while working on the go in bright areas outdoors. Coffee shops and cafes should be fine, but working in a park is probably not the best idea. The UHD panel has a resolution of 3840 by 2160 pixels squished into a 15.6 screen, giving you pixel inch of more than 220. This means text is sharp with no discernible pixelation, perfect for productivity, reading documents and working on photos. Sadly, the Prestige is running a standard 60Hz panel. We very much like to see more laptop manufacturers move to 120 or 240Hz panels. Even for content creators, which will reduce motion blur and fatigue for long hours of work or play. MSI also has a MSI True Color Display configurator where you can play around with the different modes to suit different scenarios. For example, like gamer, anti-blue, sRGB and so on. Within each preset, you can further tweak to suit every need, so that's a nice touch. Now digging deeper, we see that MSI is using an enterprise-grade Western Digital drive called the SN730 with sequential read up to 3400 MB per second and write speeds of up to 3100 MB per second, making this a fantastic premium NVMe SSD compared to what's offered in most Ultrabooks. It has 550K IOPS and more importantly, a 400 TBW drive endurance rating, so we have no qualms using this for a few years to take care of our content creation needs. The Prestige 2x2 watt downward facing speakers are decent for general music and gaming, but nothing stands out in particular. It has a very tight, uninspiring sound with very little soundstage, pretty much sounding very pedestrian. Usable, but unimpressive. Volume is pretty much like the screen brightness. At 100% volume, it isn't particularly loud and it also begins to break on the higher end of things. We're not audiophiles, so your mileage may vary. Now on to benchmarks. As we mentioned, this is the first laptop we're reviewing, so it's going to take some time to build up our repository of benchmark tests. So that brings us to the conclusion. The Prestige is a fantastic piece of kit for general purpose content creation use. It has a decently fast CPU with a fairly typical 6 cores and 12 threads, which will aid in rendering videos and multitasking. The model that we reviewed comes in at an MSRP of 2899 Singapore dollars, which may seem like a huge sum to pay for a laptop that only has 6 cores and sports just an Nvidia 1650 Max-Q. However, the combination of a color certified UHD panel with the top of the line 1TB NVMe SSD and 32GB of memory takes some of the sticker shock away, making this edging slightly into the okay to buy territory. We'll rate the build quality to be 7.5 out of 10 with a slight screen wobble and plastic D cover holding this back from being a truly magnificent drool-worthy laptop. The overall build quality can only be described as sturdy and of decently high quality. Now don't get me wrong, we're nitpicking a fantastic laptop that will serve many content creators well. However, it does boil down to what you look for in a content creator's notebook. It's clear the Prestige focus is on getting decent entry-level content creation chops with light gaming in a thin and light package, with decent battery life to boot. The Prestige's 1650 Max-Q won't do wonders for any heavy CUDA accelerated workloads and will magically render your Premiere Pro videos at breakneck speeds. I would contend that most serious content creators would pick a laptop that has a faster CPU or a faster GPU like an RTX 2060 and downgrade to a more pedestrian 1440p IPS screen and forgo the whole thin and light mantra altogether. Now that being said, if your main workhorse is a 4K editing PC at home and you're using the Prestige for quick proxy editing while sipping a caramel frappuccino at the Bucks, the Prestige 15 could be the one for you. At $2,899, I personally would stop and ponder. At $2,599, I will pick it up immediately. Okay, so we hope you like our first ever laptop review, and we'll definitely be back with more content like this. Now do give us a thumbs up and a sub, and also leave a comment in the comment section below to let us know what you think next time. Stay safe, continue your social distancing, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.